Journal of Advanced Research. It is a journal that was born in 2009 at the University of Cairo University, which means it is in the North Africa, and it stays up to date in a very good shape. It is a very broad journal. So, which means it has a history of about 16 years of challenge. Because as a journal, it's quite difficult to establish, because you need to build a reputation, you need to get indexed, and all of these takes a while. And this story basically started in 2009. I think I joined the journal as part of the editorial board in 2009, 2010. Yeah, and the publishing is very important because we cannot be selfish. When you are a scientist, you need to disclose what you find out in science. And science is not selfish. And to disclose, you need to publish your findings. And you have a plethora of journals that you can choose to do that. And sometimes it is quite tricky to do because you need to choose the right one that will fit your work and get abroad. Everybody will read it. The more people reading your work, the higher it's going to be the acceptance and spread the word about what you have found of novelty. So basically, science is not a dead end, okay? We keep just researching, and it is good that we don't answer all the questions, because if we answer all the questions, we don't have work anymore. And I used to say the basis of a country is the education, and then we need to keep going, because a successful country is a country with education and science. So just to talk a little bit about myself, I am an associate professor at the Federal University of Minas Gerais in Brazil. I started working in JAR as part of the editorial board member until 2019. People from the editorial board, they are responsible to basically evaluate all the manuscripts that are submitted to the journal and submit their recommendation, okay? And later on, I was promoted as associate editor. The associate editor is the person who will handle the manuscript, which means it is the scientist who will direct and invite several scientists in that particular subject of field, and will invite them to evaluate a work that is coming, okay? So once we have the reviewers evaluation, associate editor will make a decision based on that. As for the Journal of Advanced Research, we usually take 3 reviewers to do the job, okay? Hardly, sometimes we just get 2, sometimes it's quite difficult, because we have noticed recently that it is quite a challenge to get people to evaluate works, because we don't receive any type of money to do that, to judge a work. And then it is a kind of selfless thing that you just donate your time to the journal and make your recommendation and your critiques and send to the journal. As an associate editor, in the area of agriculture. Basically, it is my job to evaluate the three reviewers' comments and make a decision. Basically, the Journal of Advanced Research is a journal that has a particular path. Usually when we get, I say we because I am a part of that, but usually the journal gets a bundle of manuscripts, and those manuscripts would basically arrive there in the system. They will go through a technical evaluation, which means it is going to be evaluated if the manuscript is following all the rules regarding the layout, which means that you need to be quite careful and follow the rules, like the what they call by the guidelines for authors. And then we strongly recommend people to follow it, because if you don't do this, you might fail in the first step, and your work will not even be going to the second step, which is the manager editor will evaluate the pertinence of your job, if your manuscript fits the scope of the journal. Then it is very important to keep that in mind. I mean, you have rules to follow. The abstract must be in this layout. Just follow the rules, and then you are good to go the first step. Once your manuscript reaches the managing editor, the manager editor will tell whether or not your manuscript is suitable to be evaluated. Once your manuscript is qualified as suitable because it fits the scope of the journal, because it has enough novelty, the managing editor will indicate one associate editor. And this is something that I don't have control, because the criteria to direct the manuscript to one associate editor, it is solely based on the subject, the area of a subject. And because we receive several manuscripts every month, usually they will directly to associate editors according to the work, because they want to overload the associate editor. Yeah, but sometimes I am handling 10 manuscripts at the same time, which it is a big challenge, because we need to keep inviting several researchers to evaluate. Sometimes I keep inviting 30 researchers at the same time, to hope that 3 of them will accept the challenge. Yeah, and then once I receive the manuscript, then I will direct as associate editor to a scientist in the scientific area to do that, okay? Usually, we give 21 days to a reviewer to completely evaluate and submit the comments. After that, if the manuscript it is decided to be recommended for publication with, for example, major revision or minor revision, we give the authors the chance to reboot all the comments by the reviewers. And once you do this, you submit the revised version, and then the same reviewers are invited to evaluate that, because it is not fair to send to somebody else. I mean, we need to make sure that the first person who evaluated the manuscript will see if you accomplished what was proposed. Okay? Then, in the second round, it usually takes 14 days only, and then we have the final decision. Sometimes it takes longer than that, not because we are lazy to do that, but just because it is quite difficult to find good reviewers to do that. Because when we invite reviewers to do that, we just make sure that they have a very high score and a well-reputed scientist that's a subject in that area, and it takes a while. And then this time frame must get longer. But I used to say one thing, it doesn't matter if it takes longer. As far as you succeed, it's a good news, okay? So, okay, oh, it's going, sorry. And this journal is basically published by ELSEVIER. It is a well-reputed publishing. And what we have here is, once you solicit and manage submissions there, you manage basically the peer review, and you edit and prepare. Sometimes, for example, if your manuscript falls into the managing editor, and the managing editor finds that you need to do some amendments, small amendments, and then it returns to you, and you can do the amendments and resubmit. But one thing that it is quite important is, when the managing editor gets the manuscript, the first thing it's going to be run, it is checking for plagiarism, which means that if the text that it is provided has a certain level of similarity to what it is found in the literature, it will not go further for the evaluation, okay? It is one of the criteria used. Usually it takes about 15% of similarities. Then what we recommend as part of the scientific writing is just to make sure that the way you write is in a way that you proper cite the source, okay? And besides that, you don't just copy and paste what it is written in another's manuscript. Usually what it falls in this 15% of similarities, it is relying on the methodology, because we cannot really reinvent methodology. You can just change some words, but the descriptions, they are not so quite different. But even though you need to do just master that, it is the art of writing, okay? So, and once the manuscript is, for example, accepted for publication, the handling for production is pretty fast. And then you can basically get published and disseminated, because especially it is an open access journal. And then as such, it is widely spread, and everybody around the world will have access to your publication. So, what we have in numbers, in terms of the number, we have basically 9.8 million articles now available in these 16 years of journey. The acceptance rate is 8%, which it is quite low for a well-reputed journal. It is usually what happens, okay? And we have about a community of reviewers that is over than 5,000 people, and 600,000 authors publishing there, and 19,000 books related to Elsevier, and 2,000 new books per year are coming from this publisher as well. So 450,000 new articles are produced each year when you think about the Elsevier as a total, okay? and 185 years of back issues scanned, processed, and data tagged. This is just to make sure that the new open access journal can still offer the archives in a faster mode that you can get access, okay? 30 million of researchers and over 180 countries contributing, and so on. Okay. As for the Journal of Advanced Research, we have here the body that constitute the associate editors include people from Brazil, China, Egypt, Italy, Netherlands, Spain, Sweden, and United States. And for the advisory board, which is those who we basically invite to evaluate the manuscripts, they are from different countries as well, like Belgium, Czech Republic, Japan, Mexico, Singapore, Taiwan, South Africa, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Poland, Malaysia, Greece, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, and also from China. It is not here, but we are basically broadening our advisory board, and especially Shang has contributed a lot for the reviewing process there. So, the editorial board now is constituted of the president of Cairo University, Mohammed Ekhost, and the vice president of the same university, Ayman Katbi, and the editor-in-chief is Hussein Khaled. Hussein Khaled is the professor who basically founded the journal. And the managing editor, the current managing editor is Mohammed Farag from the Cairo University Faculty of Pharmacy. And the associate managing editor is Marva Fuad. Okay? So it basically passed through these people before going to the associate editor. And what you can publish there. The JAR is a broad journal. You can find research published in the area of medicine, physical therapy, pharmaceutical science, dentistry, veterinary medicine, basic and biological science such as biology, molecular biology, biotechnology, chemistry, physics, biophysics, geology, astronomy, biophysics again, and environmental science, math, engineering and computer science, and agricultural science, which means it is quite broad, but I just give you emphasis on the number 6 because it is very strong in biological science. I think which quite fit here what it is done at the Northeast Forest University. So I keep just going forward. So, but what is the scope of JAR? We basically accept submissions in the area of pharmacy, medicine and veterinary, engineering, agriculture, and they are basically the main arms of all of these, okay? So, as far as you have a very good question on chemistry, physics, and biology, it is good to be, and there is a chance that it's going to be going further for evaluation in the Journal of Advanced Research, okay? The most important thing is you need to make sure that your manuscript will have very, very, very clearly the main question that you supposed answer, yeah? I think what is very, very difficult recently, and it is the bottleneck for publication, at least not in JAR only, but any other well-reputed journal, is the authors don't make clear what it is the novelty of that manuscript. And you need to make sure, you need to convince the audience that your work will add value to the science community. And usually by doing that, you sell the fish, we used to say this in Brazil, in the introduction, okay? Your introduction will basically state the state of art about that subject. Suppose that you work with the abiotic stress on wood trees, and you want to know what are the molecular requirements for the woody plants to respond well against climate change. Okay, you need to state the state of art about what it is already found in the literature, and then finalize your introduction telling the question that remains to be answered. This must be clear there, because then when the managing editor gets your manuscript, okay, it's there. It is there, and then I know. And you need to make sure that you put there that you intend to reply, to answer that question, and then you are good to go. Also, the abstract of your work, it is the postcard of your work. It is basically the cherry of your work, because you need to convince people in few words. I think a JAR is basically 250 words or more that you can do in different topics for the abstract. And you need to convince there in a very, very resumed way that your work brings the novelty that aligns with the journal. Okay? You need to answer that question. That's the key. Okay? So, as an open access journal, you find that currently the fee for publishing there, once your manuscript it is accepted for publication, it is $4,000 for that. And then people around the world will get your work no matter where they are, as far as they have internet connection, okay? And this is what we call by APC charge. Yes, it is article processing charge. And even though there is this charge to be paid for the authors, what we basically tell is it is not easy to publish there. It is not because you pay a fee to do that. It doesn't mean that your work is eligible for publication right away. Okay? It passed through a very rigorous evaluation for that, because we needed to separate the good apple from the bad apple. Yeah? Especially in plant physiology, we used to say apples are like climateric fruits, which means like bananas. If you get one rotten banana, it's gonna get all bananas good one rotten as well. And then here we basically dig for that, because we need to make sure that the science it's gonna be published there, it's a very good science, like the apple that we see this on the screen, okay? And then you can, okay, we just wait. Quality versus quantity. We are not in a hurry to publish lots of manuscript. We prefer to have a number of a manuscript that will just represent good science. just for the sake of a comparison, you can see that from 2015, for example, to up to 2019, yeah, we still have some years after that, but the rate of publication is basically keeping the same. It is on average 70 manuscripts, 70 something published every year. And we just keep that score as a sign of keeping the quality and a high profile. And the traffic for the homepage is quite high. You can see by the numbers here. Many people visit the journal a lot and download the manuscripts, the articles published there. And you can find all over the world people accessing, and basically all continents that are representatives, countries that benefit from the work published there. Currently, the impact factor of the Journal of Advanced Research is 11.4, and it is considered the first highest in Egypt and in the Middle East journal. And the secret for that success is an overall effort of the authors, because without good science published there, we don't have this impact factor. And the reviewers panel are very important as well. And we look at this number not as a simple number, but as a reflection of the good work that it is done there, a very serious one with ethics as well. So here the SJR score in 2018 was 1.1, which is quite high for the community. But we need to remember that JAR is just one needle in that pile of stay. Yeah, we have several journals there, and we somehow are proud of seeing that JAR is respected by the work it is done. And we invite people to submit there. Okay. This journal is indexed already, and in Science Citation Index expanded, Directory of Open Access Journals, and PMC and Medline, so on. And this is the basically the face of a JAR. Once you access that website, you come with these, and then in which you have access to the guide for authors, which is very important. You need to go through this to make sure that your manuscript is formatted in the proper format to be evaluated. And you can also come and submit your manuscript by clicking that option, and you're gonna fill out a form and set up one login and password, and that's it, okay? I think that's it. I want to talk about the journal, and if you have any question, I will be glad to reply.